In today's video, I want to show you how I solved exploit number 7, false start, found here on the Solidity Challenges repo. In order to get started, simply clone the repo, open it up in your editor, and move to the README file. Here it says that a new NFT drop is here and it's offering a free mint, but there's a catch. The contract is designed to restrict every user to just one NFT. Your job, prove it wrong. So the challenge, we need to break the rules, attempt to mint the entire supply of NFTs despite the contract's limitation, and then they give us the test command here to test our exploit. All right, let's move over to the contract. Over here on falsestart.sol, you can see they're working with upgradable contracts. We have the 721 and ownable, which have both been inherited. A couple state variables tell us that there's a total supply of 100, so that's what we're trying to exploit. We need to mint 100 NFTs, and they have a max mint per wallet, so we're going to be restricted. There's no constructor found on upgradable contracts. Instead, they're using an initialized method. Here, they're passing a name and symbol to the 721 contract and making the message.sender the owner of that contract. Here you can see we are indeed restricted, and we're restricted to 1. So we can only mint 1 token. And so the only way we're going to get a supply here obviously is by minting. So scrolling down, you can see we have a bunch of filler methods. We can view ownership, but there's no way to change ownership unless you are the owner. Obviously, you can go through the ownable contract by OpenZeppelin. Then we have a bunch of approvals and transfer from. So a lot of filler on this contract when we know we need to mint. And our minting options looks like we have 2. We have mint and admin mint. The admin mint, we're going to be restricted because I can see an only owner modifier. So we're not getting in the door initially here. Puts all our focus on the initial mint. This one too, we're going to hit a wall because yes, we can mint to ourselves any particular token ID we like, but we hit a guard that's checking our balance. It's checking to see if we've already minted. Did we max out on this max mint per wallet? Well, we will after we mint for the first time. So we come around to mint again, we're hitting this guard. So this one was interesting because at the initial glance, you're like, well, where do I go from here? Well, it actually lies inside the test file. So we'll move over here to falsestart.t.sol. And from here, they set it all up for us. So I haven't changed anything. They deploy the contract. They give us a wallet. We're called Challenger. And they set a state variable of 100 for the total supply as defined in the contract itself. And then they do their setup. Here they deploy their contract and then they give us 1 Ether. They have a pre-check that just checks the balances to ensure that we indeed have 1 Ether and that our NFT balance is indeed 0. So we start with 1 Ether and 0 NFTs. And then they give us the ability to run our attack. Now I know I moved fast and I kind of did that on purpose. If you notice in the setup, yes, they did deploy the contract, but there's nowhere here. You remember it's an upgradable contract. You have to initialize those contracts. And that's a step that got overlooked. So if you don't initialize the contract, you come up over here, then who's the owner? There is no owner at this point, is there? It's still going to be the default value. So if we have the ability to initialize the contract, we can become the owner. And once we're the owner, we now have access to the admin mint. We can mint as many tokens as we want. In this case, we simply need to mint to 100, and that will pass this assertion down at the bottom here, where it'll check that our balance over on the false start contract is indeed equal to the total supply of 100. All right, so that's what we're going to do. I approached it quite simply like this. I simply called initialize. This made me the owner. And as the owner, I now have the ability to call the admin mint method. I put it inside a loop. I'm going to call 100 times, and I'm going to mint myself 100 tokens. And by doing that, I will pass this assertion. All right, so let's see that in action. Okay, we got a lot here. We'll go through it, obviously from top to bottom. Perfect. All right, so from the top, we had our test attack. We simply called initialize. You can see it transferred ownership from the previous owner, where there wasn't one, to us, we're the new owner. Now, as the new owner, we called admin mint 100 times. So token ID 1 all the way down. right about there to token 100. We now have 100 tokens. The balance of confirms that, and the assertion is passed where our balance is 100 and that matches the total supply. So this one here really just goes to show what could happen if you forget to initialize your upgradable contracts. So that was my approach to the false start exploit. If you had a different way of going about it, or you want to talk about my approach, feel free to reach out. You can get my contact information in the description below. See you in the next one.